Hello again, Gills fans. Welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV. It is time for another Monday review. Going to have a look back at Saturday's friendly defeat at the Madejski Stadium, where we took on a very good Reading side, in all fairness. I think I'm going to talk about them before talking about us and where we potentially went a little bit wrong and weren't quite at it. I think credit has to go to Mark Bowen and his team. They were very good technically. They kept the ball really well. They've got some very good players at that level. The likes of John Swift and Lucas Jow scored the first goal. Andy Rinamhota, I don't know if I've pronounced that right, scored a really good second as well. Despite us probably making it a little bit easy, but he did have quite a bit to do when he picked the ball up on the halfway line still. And another one that for me was very good in League One last season was Josh Lauren, who they've signed from Shrewsbury on a free transfer. I think that's a really good bit of business for them. They all started the game, and I thought first 20 minutes, bearing in mind this was a game that was split into 3/3 of 30 minutes, not two halves. I thought first 20 minutes it was pretty even. They had more of the ball because technically they got better players than us, and that's no disrespect to us and our squad. It's just levels sometimes that happen in the game, and they kept it really well. They pinged it about nicely. It's a good surface at the Madejski, and we struggled to get hold of the ball. And then when we did have it, we didn't really keep it for long enough to trouble them, and it was a little bit like a training exercise at times. But I thought the first 20 minutes were pretty even. We threatened to get in behind a couple of times without really doing too much in the final third. And in terms of work rate and wanting to do well and run for the shirt again, I couldn't fault us. But sometimes you just have to hold your hand up and say, yeah, Reading were a good side on the day. And unfortunately, 2 goals in a minute almost killed us in terms of the contest. The first one, slack in possession, concede a corner, and then the ball's put into a dangerous enough area, but we don't deal with it properly, do we? I think Jack Bonham comes a long way and doesn't get near it, unfortunately. But we get on to Jack a little bit further along in the video, because apart from that, he was absolutely superb. And the bloke heads it in. And then the second goal, literally a minute later, if that, play gets turned over on the halfway line, and the lad, the Rinamhota, I think it is, if that's pronounced correctly, skips away from one challenge and suddenly he's through on goal. He's got acres of space to run into. Connor Ogilvie does his best to try and get across from left back, but can't get there, and the fella clips it into the corner beyond Jack Bonham, and suddenly 0-0 was 2-0 down, and we had a bit to do. And I think if this had been a Gillingham side, specifically in competitive games a couple of seasons back, we might have rolled over and lost 3 or 4. But we didn't. We rolled our sleeves up, we dug in, we kept ourselves in the contest, even though it was hard. And yeah, slowly but surely, we started to work our way back into it, I thought. And there was no more conceding in the first third of the game. Steve Evans and Paul Rayner obviously had a chat with the boys on the touchline at the first break. And I'd imagine that the instructions were to get yourself back in the game. Make sure you score the next goal and give yourselves a chance. Half a chance at least. And we were certainly a lot better from there on. Again, we didn't create loads and loads. I thought Reading defended well when they had to. I thought Jacob Mellis didn't get on the ball enough for us, but when he did, he created things. We got him twice in behind when he was on the ball and managed to pick a pass, and we scored a decent enough goal. John Akindi was played in down the inside left channel and burst into the box, and he got bundled over. And for me, it was a stonewaller watching it on the telly. Obviously, we can only go on TV angles at the moment, and it's only one TV angle at that, and there's no commentary, there's no replays. But for me, it was a penalty. I think if it's the other way round and you're a Reading fan, you're screaming it's a penalty. And big John Akindi stood up, dusted himself down and took it himself and sent the keeper the wrong way. And it's really pleasing to see. He's in the goals throughout the summer. I think that's now 2 in his last 2, plus a couple of assists against Watford last week. So that bodes well as we move forward. But yeah, Reading were still creating chances. They were still a massive threat with the ball. I thought throughout the game we struggled to get near them at times in terms of their one-touch, intricate, quick stuff. And a lot of what we was doing was a little bit last ditch. But the pleasing aspect from that side of things was that we were willing to chuck ourselves on the line. We were willing to chuck bodies in front of shots and charge down crosses into our dangerous area and stuff like that. And that's always a good sign in the sense that these people want to work hard and want to do well for the shirt. And they didn't just sack it off because it was a friendly and didn't think, oh, well, I might pick up a knock if I do this. Yeah, the way the game was played was in quite a competitive nature, I thought, and it was good to see. It was 2 good on his sides having a go. yeah, Jack Bonham, as I've already mentioned, he's made a tremendous save from a free kick. I think it was John Swift again. Can't remember if that was second period, that he's flicked onto the crossbar. A really, really good stop that kept us alive. I think that was first period, actually. I think, because I'm sure that would have been 3-0. It's a little bit confusing with these thirds rather than just two halves. But yeah, really good stop nonetheless. I think he's another one. He's got down left-handed and stopped a header. There's a one-on-one going the other way. Like I say, when we got Jacob Mellis on the ball, we created, but we didn't do it enough. I thought best bit of play was the one that forced their keeper into a save from Conor Ogilvy's drive when he cut inside. The little bit of football in the lead up to that chance was decent. And the one chance, again, that I've already mentioned about Jacob Mellis was when he managed to get us in behind and there was a cutback. And I think it was Conor Ogilvy, again, who sort of, I'm not sure whether he went with his head or his feet or he slipped, but the ball got cut back to the edge of the 6-yard box and he couldn't quite make enough contact to bundle it over the line. And I think that would have been for 2 each. And then I think Stuart O'Keefe sort of tried to get onto the follow-up and it got bundled away. But yeah, so we weren't without half chances. But I wouldn't say any of them were clear-cut, aside from the penalty. And yet we had to be alert all the time in terms of defending because they were very, very good. But yeah, I think the biggest positive for me after the fact that we struggled after the conceding of the 2 goals and looked like it could become a struggle all afternoon was that we dusted ourselves off and we regrouped, changed the shape a little bit to make ourselves more solid. I think we played 2 or 3 systems. I think we started off with a diamond. I think it then went to a 4-4-2. I think it might have changed again later on in the piece, but obviously there was lots of changes in the final third and it made the game a bit scrappy and a bit stop-start, which wasn't ideal, but it's getting minutes into the legs of everyone, which is what we need at this stage of pre-season. So yeah, all in all, a really worthwhile exercise for me against a decent enough Reading side. I'm not sure they'll challenge for promotion in the Championship, but I don't think they'll struggle in terms of having to face a relegation battle. I think they'll finish mid-table. Again, I'm only basing it on 90 minutes, so it is difficult to gauge completely, but you can only go on what you see, and I thought they were a decent enough Championship outfit without troubling either end of the table. That would be my assessment based on the game. Standouts for me for the Gills were, like I say, Jack Bonham. I think aside from the goal where he come and flapped at the corner a little bit, he's made 3 or 4 really good saves and kept us in the game. Conor Ogilvy at left back again just gets better and better. They got targeted him down that side, I thought, because we had issues with them getting in behind our fullbacks, and I don't think he was helped out too much by Zech Medley, who did really struggle, especially the first period up to the goals and to the end of the first third. But credit to Zech, he's learning the game and he adjusted. I think he learned that he couldn't just keep going to try and pinch it off the player all the time because he was getting spun, and that's what led to the second goal. He tried to pinch it on the halfway line and got turned, and then there was acres and acres for the player to run into. But it wasn't his greatest game, but he's a kid, and I thought that he improved in the sense that he learned when to go and try and pinch it. He learned when to drop off. His pace got him out of trouble a couple of times, and that big gangly stride that he's got helped him out. And also, we have to bear in mind that he didn't start alongside Jack Tucker, who was on the bench for this one, and it's Jack that he started alongside in the first 2 friendlies. Reading were a step up on Colchester. Reading were a step up on Watford's under-23s, mixed with a couple of first teamers or whatever it was in the week. And he'll get better for the learning experience. It's a massive learning curve for him. It's a massive learning curve for all those youngsters that have come in. Trey Coyle, who didn't play at the weekend. But yeah, Conor Ogilvy, sorry, gone off on a tangent, I thought was really, really good. Not once did he shirk his responsibilities. He tried to get on when he could, but it was hard because we were pinned back for a majority of the game. And he's been a threat in their box again. Like I say, he's had a drive that the keeper's done well to beat away, and he's had another one where he's trying to get on the end of something. So that side of his game he's learning now that he's playing fullback consistently as opposed to centre half. Stuart O'Keefe, I thought, was really good in all the systems, predominantly when they went to a 4-4-2, and it was just him and Kyle Dempsey. There was a risk that they could get overrun in there, but I thought they marshalled us really, really well. Kyle Dempsey, for me, just looks like he's got a little bit of extra time on the ball compared to everyone else in the squad at the moment. A class above. I think Steve Evans come out after the game and said the biggest compliment to Kyle Dempsey was he could have played in the Reading side, and at the risk of upsetting some Oxford fans, there were some big teams after him, it seems, in this division, the likes of Hull and Sunderland, and we managed to persuade him to come to Kent and ply his trade, which is an excellent bit of business, and I think he'll continue to flourish. It was interesting to see him in what looked like the base of a diamond to start with, so we're going to see him as some sort of deep line playmaker with 2 more workman-like centre midfielders either side. Remains to be seen. It's obviously a work in progress, and we've still got some friendly games before we kick off against Southend in the League Cup on the 5th of September at 1 PM at the Priestfield. And the final one for me was John Akindi. I thought he was really poor first 20. I just thought he was statuesque, wasn't mobile enough, wasn't working the centre-backs, wasn't stretching the game, but something clicked. And I thought then, as the game went on and on, he just got better and better. And he started to work the channels more. He started to make it stick. He started to bring others into play, and he has got that deceptive burst of pace, which you might not expect because of his size, to get himself into the box to win the penalty. And 9 times out of 10, John Akindi takes a penalty, John Akindi scores a penalty, and that was the case then. And I'd imagine he's probably the first name to be taking them this season now that Ollie Lee has left, who took the majority of them last time out. So yeah, there was plenty of positives. There was a few negatives. Like I say, we did look a little bit naive and a little bit last-ditched at times defensively, but that will come with time. I think it shows up that what type of player we need in, and I'll get on to that. But yeah, Robbie McKenzie, as I've already mentioned, made his debut, having joined from Hull on Thursday, I think it was. So he'd only been with us 2 days. He slotted in at centre-back alongside Zech Medley, with Ryan Jackson at right-back and Connor Ogilvie at left-back. And I thought, for the time he was on, he'd done all right. It seems that he can play a numerous amount of positions. I think Steve Evans has said he can play either side as a full-back. He can play defensive midfield if need be. But obviously, it's great that he has versatility, but we don't want him to become a jack of all trades and a master of none. But yeah, for a debut, I thought he wasn't overawed, and I thought he looked like a decent enough acquisition. Again, obviously, we can make more telling assumptions and critiques when we've seen him play more, and it's difficult to do it based on an hour. I think it was that he got. I think he played the first 2/3 before Jack Tucker replaced him, and it'll be a good acquisition in the sense that he can play more than one position, and we're going to have to roll with a small enough squad, I'd imagine, so that we need these people that can fill in 1 or 2 roles, and when we do have injuries, invariably, and suspensions. But yeah, all in all, a decent enough debut for Rob McKenzie. And I thought Vadaine Oliver done really well when he come on, only for the last half hour. Steve Evans alluded to him having a dead leg and bone bruising, which is why he's not been able to start games, but he's hopefully can start. I think he said there's a friendly Tuesday night, so it'd be interesting whether we can watch that one. It'd be good if we can. And it'd be nice to see Vadaine start a game. I thought he put himself about really well. I think he replaced Brandon Hanlon at the end. There were so many substitutions, that might not be correct. But yeah, he got himself in front of the centre-back. He got himself between defender and ball, and he held it up well, and he brought others into play, dropped deep when he needed to, which was going to be a bit tricky because I think him and John Akindi are very similar in terms of size and what they can offer. And yeah, it was a promising half hour from big Vadaine Oliver, and fingers crossed he can shake off this knock and we can start seeing the best of him sooner rather than later. But yeah, for me, plenty of positives, a few negatives, but nothing to worry about, nothing too untoward, in the sense that we played a decent enough Reading side that are in the league above for a reason, and it was a good test. Like I say, it was a game where I think plenty would have learnt more about themselves, because you don't learn so much when you're winning games. I think we learned more about our players in that game than we would have done against Watford and Colchester United, and we'll continue to learn as pre-season and then the season goes on. In terms of players that we still need, I think the gaffer spoke to the media team after the game and said that he's hopeful that something could be done in terms of a proper centre-back early part of this week. So fingers crossed that could be today or Tuesday. And the name I keep coming back to is Reece Bennett, but that might purely be due to the fact that he's played for Steve Evans before. But I think that would be a good signing. I think at 28 years of age, he'd help out the likes of Jack Tucker and Zech Medley and Robbie McKenzie. And then it means that we can perhaps rotate Ryan Jackson and McKenzie at fullback, because we don't want people playing all the time and burning themselves out if we do have a small squad. So yeah, an experienced centre-half for me is absolutely key. I think we need some cover at left-back for Connor Ogilvie. For me, Tom O'Connor would be ideal. Can play fullback, could play wing-back, which would then mean we could play a back three. And we know that he can fit into the left-hand side of a diamond if we go down that route, and he did come back in. So that would give us some versatility and some balance in terms of being another left footer. I think we need another centre midfielder who's a defensive-minded player in there. I'm not sure Stuart O'Keefe's naturally an anchor man. I think he's more of a Mark Byrne type, where he flourished along with Byrne from the sides of the diamond last season, where we had Alfie Jones at the base. But it might be that one of them does go in there. It might be that Cole Dempsey's persisted with there as a deep line midfielder. We don't know, with the two workers the either side. It could be that Jacob Mellis goes in there. We've got games to try and learn a bit more about everything so far. But for me, I'd like to see a natural holding midfielder come in. Alfie Jones would be wonderful, but I still don't think we'll get him. I think he'll go higher up. But the longer it goes on, I suppose, and nothing happens in terms of Southampton, do they think, well, let's send him back to Gillingham because he done well there last season and he'll get football games? That's not anything for me. That's nothing inside information there before anyone asks. That's just me surmising. And the final one's a striker. People know my views on Brandon Hallen. I think he'll be an asset if he stays. But if he does, I still think we need another front man in to give us 4 with him, Akindi and Verdane Oliver. If he does move on, then maybe we need 2. But obviously, we know only that the budget only stretches so far. Anyway, that's enough from me. That's enough about Saturday. That's enough for today's Monday review. Fingers crossed we'll be able to watch the friendly this week if there is one. I'm not sure what's happening at the weekend. I'm sure there'll be one more. And then it's all systems go towards the 5th of September when we play our first competitive game against Southend in the Carabao Cup. And then I think it's Crawley in the EFL Trophy in that week. And then the league stuff begins on the 12th. It's not too far away, Neil Gills fans. Hull at home. No big homecoming for Tom Eaves in terms of us fans seeing him, unfortunately, because it'll be behind closed doors, which is sad. But I think it's an ideal time to play him. Fixtures were released, weren't they, last Friday? We go home to Hull, away to Wigan, home to, is it Blackpool, I want to say. That's the first 3. And I think it's a good time to be playing teams that are coming down. They're going to have to adjust to this level again. It's slightly different down here in League One than it is in the Championship. So they're tough fixtures. We know that. And we're going to have to beat some good sides if we want to get to where we want to be. But I think in terms of the first 3, it's not the worst. The run through to October, end of October, looks fascinating, challenging. If we can come out of that with some good points on the board, we could set ourselves up really nicely for the rest of the campaign. So it's exciting times. Fingers crossed we can get to start watching games, whether that's on the telly. I know there's some sort of deal with Sky Sports apparently being sorted out. That means we can watch all league games for free if we're season ticket holders, I think, up until the point where fans can return and capacities are at 50% and above. So I don't think that'll be straight away. So it seems that one way, by hook or by crook, we will be able to see the Gills live. It might just be on a television screen to start with, but it's better than nothing. Anyway, that's enough from me. Please continue to check out FanHub, the new app where they are putting fans first and rewarding fans for their loyalty and travelling to watch their football team. Check out Gabe Sutton, who I believe has his EFL season previews coming out this week. I'm really looking forward to reading the League One specifically. D3, D4, always give them shouts out. It's an excellent site, it's an excellent podcast. And our very own Gills Fancast, who do good podcasts. And also, hopefully, the boys will be back, Stocky and Boz, with some Gills in the Blood injury time content at some point. We know it's tough because of the nature of the world at the moment, but fingers crossed we can start getting some content over on the pod again. Right, that is enough from me. I promise I'm going. Keep staying safe, keep being alert. And until next time, up the Gills.